What's up guys, it's the Actual Justice Warrior here, and today I want to talk about the Manchester bombing. As I'm sure most of you know, 22 people were killed in a bombing at an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, England. There were 59 injured, and we don't really talk about the injured a lot, but when you're injured in an explosion like that, that could be a life-changing or life-ruining injury. And generally, in any situation like this, people are scared and people are upset. Particularly in this case, because Ariana Grande is a Nickelodeon princess, so our audience tends to skew very young, and I think the youngest victim reported so far was an 8-year-old girl. Now, unfortunately, I'm not here to talk about the heroes that were involved in this case. You had homeless people running into the buildings along with random pedestrians to get people out. They were assisting emergency service personnel, and in reality, when something like this happens, you don't know if there's a secondary device. So these everyday citizens acted amazing in a time of crisis, and they should be praised for that. Unfortunately, this video has to be about how the left keeps covering up for Islam and keeps apologizing for Islam. I'm gonna talk about the left's stated position on Islamic terror, and then I'm gonna explain what the reality is behind the situation. So after every one of these attacks, a certain segment of the population wants to talk about Islam and the problems within Islam, the ideology. We're not talking about Muslim people, and the left always counters with, well, we shouldn't talk about Islam because it lends itself to the propaganda of the terrorists. They want to pitch themselves as fighting for Islam against the West, as if the West is trying to destroy Islam. And according to them, saying radical Islamic terrorism aids their propaganda, so it actually hurts us. Now here's the thing, I can understand that political position, and I can understand why the left would argue for that political position. I think it's fundamentally dishonest, and I'd rather tell a harsh truth than a beautiful lie any day of the week, but I understand the logic behind that position. However, it doesn't end there, and that's the problem. You see, it would be one thing if we were trying to prevent leaders within the United States from providing ISIS with talking points or sound bites, but it really doesn't end there. Not only can we never say radical Islamic terrorism or link Islam to terrorism, but according to the left, we have to lie about what the actual cause of terrorism is. Take this article by Salon. Manchester was an attack on little girls. Now you might read that headline and think, oh, well, that's kind of true. The audience skews young, it skews female, and Islam is more repressive towards women than men, so maybe this attack is seen as punishing them for being infidels. Well, if you think that that's where the article is going, you're dead wrong. They're not arguing that Islam is anti-woman, which is true, and Islam promotes violence against women, which is also true. They're saying that the attack was rooted in our Western anti-women views.
Because your average Westerner is always attacking women at concerts.
And this isn't the first time that this happened. After the Orlando shooting, where a Muslim terrorist shot up a gay nightclub, people tried to pitch the story as if it was just normal anti-gay sentiment that's built up in the United States that fueled it. In fact, the Department of Justice actually redacted Allah and all references to Islam from the transcript that they released to the public, which is kind of insane when you think about it. 49 people died in that incident, and the first thing that the Department of Justice thought was that Islam needed to be protected. We also had Barack Obama calling an act of Muslim terrorism workplace violence. You see, there's a difference between their stated goal of not trying to alienate Muslims within the Western world and within the Islamic world, by accurately calling these acts of terrorism Muslim terrorism or Islamic terrorism, and completely lying about the issues and covering up for the motives or the root causes behind the attacks. So this begs the question, why does the left cover up for Islam? Why does the left constantly defend Muslims, even when they're terrorists? There are very few, if any, ideologies that are more anti-liberal than Islam. And the answer is actually quite simple. The left fancy themselves as intellectuals. They consider themselves cultural and ethical relativists. Cultural relativism is the belief that no one value is universal amongst all societies. And ethical relativism is the idea that because there is no belief held throughout all societies, no belief is objective. And because there's no ethical belief that's objective and held throughout all societies, morality or ethics are relative. So the fact that Islam is inherently oppressive towards women and homosexuals and all these different groups that the left would normally defend within the Western world is irrelevant, because in their society that's considered ethical. And if you want to be an intellectual and ethical relativist, you can't judge their society. They also believe that all cultures are equal, while simultaneously holding the belief that the West is pure evil. So all cultures are equal except the West. You can't stand the fucking West. The West fucking ruins everything because, you know, it's the West. Fuck their ideas of individual liberty and capitalism that have created wealth around the world. The West is fucking evil.
For white supremacist intersectional patriarchy.
And the reason they hold this view that the West is evil is because of their cultural Marxism worldview. Now, I know I just said a lot of shit, and some of you are thinking I'm really smart, and some of you are thinking I'm fucking retarded shouting out buzzwords. But I want you to really think about this proposition. The left believes that black people cannot be racist against whites because white people are historically advantaged over black people. The left believes women cannot be sexist against men because historically men have been advantaged over women and men hold more power in society according to them.
White supremacist capitalist patriarchy.
So is it too much of a stretch for the left to believe that Islam cannot cause terrorism? That Muslims cannot be terrorists? You see, it starts to make sense when you realize that they view the West in terms of the world the same way that they view whites and that they view males in terms of Western society. They are the dominant force and they cannot be victimized by the subjected force. So my hypothesis or my theory is that the reason why the left will never link Islam to terrorism is because they truly believe, in the same way that they believe that black people can't be racist and women can't be sexist, that Muslims cannot be terrorists. Anyway, that's all I really have for you guys today. I would like to add that Islam is an ideology. The root word of that is idea. So if you're going to battle Islam, I suggest you engage them on the battlefield of ideas. I don't want to see a bunch of retaliatory strikes against Muslims because those have a tendency of hitting people who are perfectly fine. Sometimes people hit Sikhs because they can't tell the difference. Stick to the battlefield of ideas because the left is losing the battlefield of ideas. If you like this video, then please show me by leaving a like. Give me your thoughts in the comments. You can follow me on all my social media. Subscribe for more content. This has been the Actual Justice Warrior. Until next time.